In a fairly dramatic reversal, President Trump has announced that the United States will now allow Nvidia to sell its H200 chips into China. One of the things that I've learned about the AI Daily Brief audience is that as much as you guys are interested generally in AI and what it means for the world, you're definitely more interested on average in what AI means for you and your careers and your companies. I think this is a totally reasonable stance to take, and it's why I try to slant the coverage towards news that is practical and relevant. For example, today I'm gearing up for the anticipated GPT 5.2 announcement. However, I do think it's important to have a broad-based understanding of how this technology is intersecting with the wider world, particularly in the realm of geopolitics, and today we got one of our most significant shifts ever. The headline, which by now I'm sure you've heard, is that President Donald Trump has said that the US will now allow Nvidia to sell its H200 chips to companies in China, taking a 25% cut along the way. Now, to understand this, I think you have to go back almost a decade to get the trajectory of US-China policy specifically as it relates to chips. For pretty much the entirety of the first Trump presidency as well as the Biden administration, China hawks led the policy discourse. Indeed, it was one of the few things that was fairly bipartisan. I remember back in the 2020 run-up, there was a big debate on who would be tougher on China, Joe Biden or Donald Trump. During the Biden administration, we got the CHIPS Act, which was, of course, in part a response to our COVID-era recognition of what many perceived as our over-reliance on Chinese-involved supply chains. And we got this big effort to reshore domestic manufacturing across a wide variety of industries, but with a particular focus on advanced chips. Throughout the Biden administration, there were not just these incentives to move the chip manufacturing industry back to the US, but also more restrictions on exports. Indeed, right at the end, as President Biden was getting prepared to vacate the White House, they dropped an executive order which became known as the AI diffusion rule. The diffusion rule created 3 tiers of licensing requirements that basically reduced the amount of chips that we were exporting everywhere. Now, as you might imagine, the world's leader in advanced AI chips, Nvidia, was no fan of that and started to articulate basically what their position would be during the upcoming Trump administration as well. Outside of the folks who think that, of course, their main position is, hey, we'd like to sell our product into one of the world's biggest markets, basically their position is that the best way to handle China is not to cut them off, but to manage them. That effectively the US wants its infrastructure to be used everywhere. Now, almost immediately as the new administration came online, the Department of Commerce announced a rescission of the AI diffusion rule, but that didn't mean that Nvidia was in the clear. Throughout the year, it has just been a total back and forth on what long-term US policy was going to be regarding selling chips to China. Although functionally, Nvidia has simply not been selling into China even their neutered H20 chips that were designed specifically to meet export requirements. When Nvidia has given forward guidance for the last several quarters, they've basically left China off entirely. And yet, clearly in the recent weeks, things have been shifting. At the end of October, Semaphore editor-in-chief Ben Smith wrote a piece called "Trump is Poised to End Washington's Decade of the China Hawks." In it, he wrote that we're seeing the, quote, end of an anti-China moment in Washington that really began with Donald Trump's election in 2016, intensified through the Biden presidency, went viral on Capitol Hill, and crested on Liberation Day. The piece concluded, on the defining question of China, Trump seems to be working his way back even from a confrontation that he began and Biden escalated towards something a little more like business as usual, deferring to the old Calvin Coolidge observation that the business of America is business. Now, it was Semaphore once again who reported on Monday morning that the Commerce Department was poised to approve the export of Nvidia H200s for the first time. Last week, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick had said that the decision was in Trump's hands but didn't give his opinion on the matter. Semaphore sources, however, said that Lutnick had been supportive of the plan to loosen export restrictions to allow in the powerful chips. The decision also came in the context of a Washington visit from Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang last week. Huang met with the president as well as congressional leaders, and at the time, the big story was that he had successfully managed to negotiate the removal of tighter restrictions that were planning on being inserted into the National Defense Authorization Act. It now appears that he successfully negotiated for much, much more. Yesterday, the president tweeted, "I have informed President Xi of China that the United States will allow Nvidia to ship its H200 products to approved customers in China, under conditions that allow for continued strong national security." President Xi responded positively. 25% will be paid to the United States of America. Now, Trump had floated the idea of the government taking a cut of Nvidia's Chinese revenues over the summer when the issue was last up for debate. At the time, they were talking about 15%, so this 25% is, I guess, the art of the deal. Now, Trump framed the move as a policy win for the U.S. manufacturing sector, specifically taking aim on the policy of neutered versions of technology to match export controls. In that same Truth Social post, he continued, "The Biden administration forced our great companies to spend billions of dollars building degraded products that nobody wanted, a terrible idea that slowed innovation and hurt the American worker. That era is over. Now, to the extent that there was a line, it was drawn around Nvidia's most advanced chips, commenting, Nvidia's US customers are already moving forward with their advanced Blackwell chips and soon Rubin, neither of which are part of the deal. Trump also said that the same approach would be applied to AMD, Intel, and other US chipmakers. Now, as you might imagine, the announcement triggered a huge response. Democrats immediately got up in this, basically saying it was one more example of Trump's political corruption. This attitude was summed up by Elizabeth Warren, who said, after a backroom meeting with Donald Trump and a donation to the Trump Ballroom, Nvidia got a deal to sell the most advanced AI chip it has ever sold to China. The Nvidia CEO should testify under oath in Congress. The Republican response has been a little bit more quieted, but that's a complicated story that we'll come back to in just a moment. Mostly folks tried to explore what it would mean for the US with regard to competition with China in the AI race. David Shore, the head of data science at Blue Rose Research, wrote, "We're on track to reduce our compute advantage over China from 33-1 to 1.2-1 because Nvidia and Jensen Huang put millions of dollars in Trump's pocket in order to enrich themselves at the rest of our expense." Alex Stapp, the co-founder of think tank IFP, wrote, "Massive own goal to export these AI chips to China. The H200 is 6 times more powerful than the H20, which was previously the most powerful chip approved for export. Our compute advantage is the main thing keeping us ahead of China in AI. Why would we throw that away?" Georgetown professor Rush Doshi writes, "This is a big deal, essentially a reversal of the US export control policy on advanced chips, possibly decisive in the AI race. Compute is our main advantage. China has more power, engineers, and the entire edge layer. So by giving this up, we increase the odds the world runs on Chinese AI." Others noted that the policy coming out of this White House is not exactly clear. Hudson Institute fellow Michael Sobolik wrote, "The same day the admin approved sales of H200 chips to China, the DOJ says this about the exact same chips. Quote, these chips are the building blocks of AI superiority and are integral to modern military applications. The country that controls these chips will control AI technology. The country that controls AI technology will control the future. We are sabotaging ourselves to make a buck. If this is the posture we're taking, we're asking for defeat." Nvidia stock, of course, jumped on the news, racing up by about 2% in late trading. Now, while it's clear that the policy change could dramatically shift the balance of power in AI, it's not quite as simple as China getting a boost at the expense of the US. The Institute for Progress put out a report on just how much the export of H200s would change the capabilities of China's GPU fleet. They modeled that under current policy settings, China would have just 2% of the AI compute produced next year. Now, with conservative exports of the H200, they modeled a 12% share, with a 30% share possible under a more aggressive set of assumptions. Tim Fisk, the director of emerging technologies at the IFP, wrote, "Huawei is not planning to make an AI chip that matches the H200 until Q4 2027. But more importantly, China's manufacturing bottlenecks mean it'll only reach 1-2% of US production in 2026. So this move is giving China a bunch of advanced AI compute it wouldn't otherwise have." However, he also recognized that there's a trade-off here, continuing, "The argument for exporting H200s is to slow China's AI chip industry. But the CCP recognizes its strategic vulnerability. It's subsidizing industry and creating demand for Huawei chips via procurement mandates and restrictions. US export policy is unlikely to change this. Instead," he writes, "H200 exports will counterfactually boost China's ability to both develop frontier AI models and deploy them widely, competing with US AI and cloud companies abroad. The new Chinese stack will be Nvidia chips, Tencent, Baidu, Alibaba Cloud, and DeepSeek, Qwen, and Kimi models." Milk Road tried to summarize the two large camps when it comes to this question. They wrote, "The smart strategy camp argues that this is the best way to manage China's rise without losing money. Since the H200 chip is now about 13 months old, selling it to China is seen as selling them previous generation technology while the US keeps the brand new, significantly faster Blackwell chips for itself. The goal is to get China addicted to buying American hardware so they don't feel the need to build their own factories." Indeed, this is NLW popping in again, but recently Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick did go so far to say, "You want to sell the Chinese enough that their developers get addicted to the American technology stack." Going back to Milk Road, they write, "This keeps them dependent on the US supply chain and sends billions of dollars back to American companies like Nvidia, which helps fuel the US economy." However, the dangerous mistake camp warns that this logic is flawed because the H200 is still an absolute beast of a machine. It isn't just a little better than what China currently has. It offers 6 times the performance of the chips China is currently allowed to buy. By selling these chips, the US is essentially breaking its own safety rules and handing over hardware that is far more capable than the label of old technology suggests. This is viewed as a massive bailout for China because their own tech giant Huawei has admitted it won't be able to build a chip this good until late 2027. Right now, China is struggling to manufacture high-end chips at scale. But if they can just buy the H200 from Nvidia, they get to skip 2 years of hard work and struggle. This fast-forwards their military and AI capabilities instantly. The fear is that the US is trading long-term national security for short-term stock market gains, giving a rival the exact tools they need to catch up just because the chip is technically a year old. So what does China do from here? China commentator and author of Red Roulette wrote that Beijing's priorities will shift almost overnight. He argues that Beijing will read Trump as fundamentally transactional, meaning that everything is negotiable. He writes, expect a full court press in the coming months to secure the most advanced technology available across the spectrum, not just GPUs, but specialty materials, EDA software, and semiconductor manufacturing equipment that seemed untouchable only a day ago. Second, he argues, none of this will slow China's drive for semiconductor self-reliance, not even by a millimeter. China's long-term mission, he writes, remains unchanged: eliminate dependence on foreign chips. Access to more advanced US hardware doesn't dilute that goal. Historically, it has sped it up. Seemingly in line with that second point, the Financial Times reported this morning that the Chinese government was planning to limit access to Nvidia's H200 chips, even though they were now approved for export. The FT's sources suggest that buyers of the H200 will be required to go through an approval process, submitting requests, and also in the same process explaining why they weren't able to use Huawei or another domestic manufacturer to meet their needs. Now, in addition to the Chinese government slowing down these plans, there also is legislation moving through Congress that would prevent the White House from approving the export of chips, including the H200, to China for 30 months. Which brings us to our second policy story of the day. One of the things that we've been tracking here is the White House's push for federal policy over state policy when it comes to AI. A few weeks ago, we started to get reports that not only was the White House thinking about releasing an executive order that would set up a commission to sue states that pursue their own AI regulations, but that this was causing some serious consternation within the Republican Party. After the EO was dropped because of that pushback, it seemed the next venue for trying to get this through was to try to add an amendment to the must-pass National Defense Authorization Act that would once again block state-created AI laws. Well, we haven't gotten the executive order yet, but also on Monday on Truth Social, Trump tweeted this: "There must be only one rulebook if we are going to continue to lead in AI. We are beating all countries at this point in the race, but that won't last long if we're going to have 50 states, many of them bad actors, involved in rules and the approval process. There can be no doubt about this. AI will be destroyed in its infancy. I will be doing a one-rule executive order this week. You can't expect a company to get 50 approvals every time they want to do something. That will never work." AI czar David Sachs fleshed out the concept in a longer post on X. He tried to make it a lot more political, with about half of the post raising the boogeyman of what the White House has effectively called woke AI before. Republicans continued to not be fully aligned around this, responding to a tweet that said, "I hope Florida plans to challenge Trump's new EO he's going to sign this week." Florida Governor Ron DeSantis wrote, "An executive order doesn't and can't preempt state legislative action. Congress could theoretically preempt states through legislation. The problem is that Congress hasn't proposed any coherent regulatory scheme, but instead just wants to block states from doing anything for 10 years, which would be an AI amnesty. I doubt Congress has the votes to pass this because it is so unpopular with the public." Showing just how weird the bedfellows are getting, AI safety voice Max Tegmark quote tweeted DeSantis and said, "I agree. It's pretty clear that what the AI lobbyists want is one rule that's de facto no rule. Let's stop this corporate welfare by treating AI companies just like we treat other powerful industries, and not leaving them less regulated than sandwich shops." Now, it is way beyond the scope of this particular show to get into the merits of the state versus federal framework. Turns out that's been a conversation that we've been having for the roughly 260 years since we became a country. But what is interesting to me in this particular case is not even just the policy, but the politics. There is a growing sense that Trump is making a major bet here that is not necessarily in sync with his own party. Indeed, Axios wrote a piece called "Trump Bets Party and Presidency on AI." The way that they describe the political risk is this: Trump is flooring the gas pedal at the very moment some of his most ardent MAGA backers are warning AI could destroy the working class Americans who brought him to power. The fear is that AI and AI-powered robots will eat vital American jobs before the nation has time to prepare the US workforce for sci-fi level change. The bottom line, they write, if White House AI and crypto czar David Sachs and others are right that AI juices economic growth and new jobs, Republicans will likely prosper. But if they're wrong or the benefits come after a few years of pain, it could be politically catastrophic. Now, I promise you guys that this is not going to become a political podcast, even as we head into the election cycle next year. However, because of that election cycle, I do think what's going on in the political world and the policy world could have fairly dramatic impact on the technology that we're all using. And so every once in a while, I will pop over to cover that, despite the focus continuing to be on the more practical and business-oriented side of AI. For now, that is going to do it for today's AI Daily Brief. Appreciate you listening or watching, as always. And until next time, peace